Hello, everyone, and welcome to 10 Minutes to a Better Building, a podcast from the building experts at Boland. I'm Tyler Kern, and today I'll be speaking with Barry Shirey, service team leader at Boland, and we'll be talking about what Barry's team does at Boland and why contract compliance is such an important topic, something his team does quite a bit of. So, Barry, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy to have you on today, Barry. So kick us off by telling us about your role at Boland and as the service team leader, and tell us a little bit more about what that entails.
As a service team leader here at Boland, I fall under the service department. And there's 3 other service team leaders here also, but my main focus here is contract compliance. And I have 7 guys on my team right now, and their whole role is to perform contracts on a monthly basis, quarterly and annuals. Anything having to do with any of the HVAC equipment and any contracts that we take under place. So it's a pretty important role here at Boland. We feel pretty good about it.
Good stuff. So what's your team called, first of all?
We're actually called Team G, and that has no other meaning than it's just the letter G. There's already A, B, C, D, and E, and so on and so forth. So we're just the next team in line.
I like that. Team G. Team G. So what's the primary goal of Team G? You know, you mentioned that contract compliance aspect of it. Tell us a little bit more about that and why that is the main goal of Team G.
So before Team G was created, the other service teams all have guys that have contracts, but they also do time and materials work. They do service calls. They do a vast majority of things. So every guy could have an amount of contracts, but also does a good bit of other works. And sometimes the guys are so busy that it's very hard to get to some of those contracts. Boland feels it's very, very important to get to all these contracts when we say we're going to get to them. That is a promise that we make to our customers. So Team G was created with the hopes of having extra guys on board to just do contract work and to make sure that we are compliant with our customers, because those are promises that we made to the customers and those are promises that we want to keep. So that's a very important part of the maintenance for our customers. So we want to make sure we follow through with all of our promises. Absolutely.
So if you look at it from the other side, what's the importance of working with a service company that puts such a large emphasis on contractual compliance?
It would be very easy to just try and ignore some of the maintenance. I think one of my other counterparts, Alan King, did a podcast also about the importance of having maintenance contracts and the things that we do under those maintenance contracts. And a lot of other companies that I've been exposed to would tend to try and put them on the back burner and use them as kind of fill-in work, but we feel that it's most important, and we want to make sure we get to every single customer and perform every task that is needed for this equipment, because it's very important for this equipment to run properly.
Would you say that aspect of things is one of the key differentiators maybe of Boland and something that really sets you apart in the marketplace, that adherence to the agreements that you have?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say industry standard, industry-wide would probably be 70 to 85% compliant on any given time frame basis, whether it's a monthly or an annual basis. Boland, for the past 6 to 8 months, has been 100% compliant. Every single visit that we have promised we were going to make, we have made, and that's a very strong commitment that we're all about.
You know, it'd be really easy to sit there and say 75, 80%. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good percentage, right? But if you're part of that 20 or 25%, you might not feel that way, right? And so it's about kind of meeting every customer and helping them achieve their goals, right? And kind of keeping those agreements. Right? So I think that really is something that makes Boland quite unique in this marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with our clientele. If you are one of those 15 to 20% that don't get taken care of, and you think of a $300,000 chiller that's sitting online running a data center or something of that nature, and you don't do a task that's supposed to be done and that system breaks down, that's a pretty important promise that we've broken, and that's pretty serious stuff. So we take it very seriously.
And I suppose, like with the size of Boland's team and having a large service team, that one of the things you're also able to provide is kind of a diverse knowledge base and having a wide and deep understanding of product and that sort of thing. Would you say that that's also one of the things that maybe helps set Boland apart and give you maybe a leg up on some of your competition?
Yes, I definitely feel that's the case. Just for our maintenance team, for instance, we have a couple guys that have been at Boland for a very long period of time, 30 years or plus. So those guys have seen everything from a standard window air conditioner up through to buildings, chillers. They touch every gamut of the equipment. So there's not too many companies out there that have those kind of guys, those veteran guys that can touch all those different pieces of equipment. And those are just a couple out of over 100 guys that we have on our team. So yes, that definitely puts us above and beyond everybody else.
You know, you mentioned that podcast that we did recently with Alan, just talking about regular maintenance, and he compared it to getting the oil changed in your car. Right, it's something that you have to do, otherwise, eventually your car will not run anymore. So, just talk to us about the importance from your perspective, the importance of periodic equipment and overall building maintenance for these buildings. Just kind of talk us through from your perspective why this is such an important thing to discuss.
Yeah, the car analogy is a great one. It's a perfect analogy because it puts it in layman's terms. Also, just about everybody else now has, depending on where in the country you are, you have an air conditioning system with a filter and coils and so on. So most people don't think about maintenance until the first 85 to 90 degree day, and they turn on their air conditioner and they go, oh, crap, now I have no AC, or it's just not doing what it should be. So if you think of that on a big grand scale in a building, and you didn't change 300 or 400 filters out for that customer last month, and now it's that 85 degree day, that phone's going to start ringing pretty quickly. So that's why we try and stay ahead of the curve. We have many different types of maintenance contracts covering different kinds of equipment, different customers and stuff. So we pretty much cover all that to make sure air quality is a huge thing in this area, especially with pollen and the humidity and the difference of temperatures and stuff. So we take all that very seriously.
I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your team a little bit more and to brag on Team G and to tell us kind of what makes your team particularly unique, and whether it's highlighting specific individuals or just the overall knowledge base within your team. Brag on Team G a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about what makes your team just so unique and interesting.
Yeah, I would say the amount of knowledge and the amount of equipment that we can cover and the knowledge base. I would say between the 7 members of our team, we probably have 150 years of combined experience. And that really gets you into a lot of different types of equipment. There's not a whole lot of other companies that can do that. Now, our other service teams here also have the kind of knowledge base also, obviously. But since our team is just there for contracts and knowing that that's what we're going to do all day, every day, we can kind of take a different approach versus having to be hampered with service calls and other stuff also. So I would like to think Team G is very detail oriented, and with the veteran experience that we have, we're able to get just about done everything that we can and everything that we promise effectively.
Absolutely. Now, one of the other things we talked about with Alan was that as people, left buildings and facilities, over a year ago now, some people might be re-entering those buildings and kind of surveying things to see what kind of maintenance needs to be done. Do you anticipate that that's going to mean for a busy second half of 2021 for Team G?
Yes, absolutely. It's already starting to do that. Yep, we can already see that. There's a wealth of work out there. And there is a lot of customers that are coming back into buildings that are empty and stale and haven't had to worry about much indoor air quality and stuff. So, yes, that's definitely going to make us very busy. And we look forward to it.
Welcoming the challenge. I love it. Well, Barry, as we begin to wrap up this episode of 10 Minutes to a Better Building from Boland, I want to turn it back over to you to give us any closing thoughts you have, any summaries, maybe a summary statement just to close us out, talking about contract compliance and things of that nature, or anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want to make sure that we mention. The floor is yours. Close us out. Put a nice bow on this episode.
No, I'd just like to say thank you for having me on the episode, and hopefully everybody gets a little bit of information out of it. And realize that a promise made is a promise kept for Boland, and we want to be 100% compliant with all of our customers at all time, every time. So that's about all I got.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Barry, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, sharing a little bit more about Team G, what you do, and why contract compliance is such an important thing. Barry Shirey, Service Team Leader at Boland. Barry, thank you once again.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everyone, as you listen to this episode today, you heard us refer back to previous episodes. If you have not gone back and listened to previous episodes of 10 Minutes to a Better Building, let me recommend that you do that, because there's a lot of great insight and expertise there from the team at Boland, very similar to what you heard today from Barry. So make sure to go back and check out those previous episodes of the show. And you may as well subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to stay up to date with the latest episodes and to know what's coming out next and coming out very shortly. And so we will have new episodes of the show coming for you very shortly. But until then, for my guest today, Barry Shirey, I've been your host, Tyler Kern. Thank you so much for joining us.